our pleasure today to be of service in the following languages: English, French, Spanish, Portuguese. Naturalmente nella comanda di tutti i membri di pleasure to the
I think the last thing we expected was to find fans at the airport. I mean, it's not like we're Justin Timberlake or anything like that. Listen, we're musicians. It's not really that noble a pursuit. And if you can do something that touches someone like that, it's pretty mind-boggling to me.
So I had actually arrived separately from the other guys coming in from California, and they were coming in from Toronto, and thus I was able to avoid all the hoopla, which is fine for me. And we came into it all kind of open-minded, expecting anything, not knowing what might happen technically, what the circumstances of the concerts might be, or even how big the audiences might be. But it was the last 3 shows of the tour, and we had deliberately chosen to end on a kind of risky but exciting way. Hey. At the time of finishing Vapor Trails, we were kind of debating whether or not to tour, but decided, yeah, we'd do it one more time. And started, I guess about April of 2002, I started rehearsing my parts in a warehouse in Toronto, and then gradually the guys came together and we started lubricating the machine and gearing it up again for the long haul. And consequently, though, we were so well prepared and the production around us was so well rehearsed that even the first show went really well. And I remember the 3 of us just exchanging a look on stage of the triumph of having survived the last 5 years and everything that it took to bring us to that show.
I think you do get tired of playing certain songs over the course of a tour, especially songs that you've played for decades. But this tour, I never got tired of any songs that we played. I didn't have a song that was on my, B list of songs to play that night. I just seemed to get off on the whole thing every night. It was just immediately rewarding to see the audiences, the whole issue of not taking it for granted, which I think you can easily do in something like this. I just looked at it like this might be the last time I ever played these songs. So, and it probably isn't, but I think you have to look at all of life like that.
To create a set list is one of the toughest things. And what we do is we start with, well, what did we do last time? What did we play? What songs did we play? What songs didn't we play? And then we put a wish list together of what songs would we like to pull back out of the past that we haven't played in some time. And we start emailing potential set lists to each other. And that's how it starts. And of course, there's always pressure from fans. Then Alex and I got together at my house and we started listening through to all these records. Like we kind of went through every record, going back in time. I mean, we hadn't done that in maybe ever. And we sat in my kitchen, played everything back over my computer, and it was kind of fun. We were laughing a lot. Some songs came back and we went, wow, it really sounds good. And some songs came back and it was like, there's no way I can ever play that song again. I'm sorry. I don't care how much the fans want it. I apologize, but there's no way I can play it. And so that's how it starts. And the first set list is about 4.5 hours long. And then you just start playing it. And sometimes a song that you think will never work, once you play it, you go, that sounds really good. What was I thinking? We should definitely play this. And Neil had some hesitation about certain old songs. And then once we played them, there was so much spirit, and we were smiling so much that it was like, well, yeah, let's do it.
Oh! Are you kidding? We got into bed and I'm like rubbing her arm going, I love you, honey, I love you. And she's like, shut up. Shut up, I'm trying to sleep. Shut up. My wife, Charlene, came out to a lot of gigs on this tour, more than she ever has. And we had a lot of fun together. Now something's going.
Don't, I need makeup.
You need more than that, honey. Ow! Even she's yelling at me. Shelly, stop now. She's hitting. Lady, don't make with the hitting. Please, lady, don't. I'm wandering around my room, like going, where am I? I think I must be in Brazil. And then I threw up. So my limit is supposed to be 20 grams of carbohydrates a day. I hit about 1,200 last night. I woke up and I'm like the fattest person I've ever met in my life.
I concur.
I got dressed and Chuck's like, oh, you look like a magician. You spin around, jumping around like a magician. So I'm still pretty agile for a big, bloated, fat guy.
Sharon. How can there's so many eggs?
I don't drink coffee. I don't drink
Or
coffee.
smoke cigarettes.
Or smoke cigarettes. That's the truth. I quit smoking a year ago. It's secondhand smoke that I'm worried about. It's my second hand that always has a cigarette in it.
How long are your interviews?
Oh, weeks.
Like 3 hours? No.
I think we have a photo shoot for 10 minutes. It's like, paparazzi! And you stand like this.
Like Steven Seagal?
Yeah. I learned from Steven Seagal. Got my hat on. I'm ready to go do the interviews now. All right, I will.
This is Renata from the label.
Hi. Such a pleasure to meet you guys. Welcome to Brazil. You're going to have a wonderful time here. We're really anxious. So long, like, waiting for you to come down.
Well, we were just upstairs.
No,
and we were
waiting for you to come down to Brazil.
Yeah.
Hi guys. Nice to meet you. Welcome. This is the Brazilian press.
No, you got one.
Here's your pen.
Here's your pen. Okay, we have to go. Prazer termos Alex Lifeson em Geddy Lee. Geddy, baixista, vocalista, e Alex. Olá, bom dia. Gostaria de saber por que o Rush demorou tanto para vir ao Brasil. Why did it take you so long to finally come to Brazil?
It took us so long to come here because we're not very smart. We didn't realize we had so many fans in Brazil, quite frankly.
Where is Neil? Why isn't he here with you?
Before we started this tour, we had to discuss how we were going to handle press. And because of the events in Neil's life and what had gone on, we knew there was going to be a lot of interest in what had happened and how he's doing. You know, most of it, I believe, comes from a good place, but some of it is just pure curiosity. And so we talked about it, and we had to feel that he could handle it. And, you know, it's very emotional to talk about that kind of thing. And it's one thing to talk about that kind of thing with your friends. It's another thing when you're being asked it over and over and over and over and over again by people you don't know very well. And we just believed it was best for him just to not be involved in press. It was enough for him to come back to play on the record so well and to be a contributing part of the band again and to even be willing to spend that much time on the road. So that's asking a lot of him from where he was.
Compared to the shows that you usually do
America, it's the same
oficial
visually and
e de tantas e-mails recebidos.
Nobody knew, especially us.
feeling for what they are.
We tried to do the best job we can covering
in America, it's the same.
You did pictures out, I would say.
And the real reason we're here is we're going to make everything better. We're going to make airplanes out of beef.
We flew into Porto Alegre the day of the show. Originally we were supposed to come in the night before, and for some reason that wasn't working. So we flew in, and then we realized halfway through we were in the middle of a tropical storm and it was pouring rain and the plane was being tossed around and people were very nervous on the plane. Anyway, we landed fine and we walked out and it was just pouring like cats and dogs. And then we thought, oh my God, I hope these are outdoor shows. Will the show go on? So we got to the venue and of course there were problems.
Well, we don't have a monitor console. The one that we're supposed to have didn't happen. So best case scenario is that put the mix board, the mix position, side stage, stage left, and Brad will have to mix from there and do monitors from there. And the stage is completely wet. They're at a standstill right now. They can't do anything.
Our nightmare started this morning when we came in with so much rain. We've had basic heavy problems with monitor desks and such being way too wet. We've just now got it back. We're doing a line check, and by God, we're going to have a show.
I can learn to resist anything but temptation. I can learn to coexist with anything but pain. I can learn to compromise anything but my desires. I can learn to get along with all the things I can't explain.
Well, I think for 3 tours now, we have this conversation, Alex and I. Wouldn't it be great to do something acoustic? And we talk about it, and somehow or another, we never get around to trying it. But when Alex and I were sitting down and listening to all the material and Resist came on, I said to him, I bet you that would sound great with a slightly different arrangement, just guitar, because it's a folk song anyway, really. And he said, well, let's try it. And even when we got in rehearsals, we were kind of delaying trying it, and then finally one day we just said, okay, Neil, come in a half an hour late, we're going to try it. And we felt really odd about it. But we kept rehearsing it, and we just loved doing it.
Getting Alex had started talking about doing an acoustic version of Resist, but they were still a bit dodgy about partly the stereotype of doing the unplugged part of the set, that we've always avoided doing the predictable thing. But I noticed that they would ask me to come in a bit later while they worked on it, and then one day I remember Alex coming out, "It's going to work, it's going to be so great." I was crying, I had tears in my eyes. And then from then on, actually during the tour, you would often see him at the end of that number, mock wiping away tears. And they said at the time, if you want to play something acoustic, play some congas or something. And I said, no, that's okay, because it came in the set right after my solo. So after that workout, I was quite happy just to sit down in the dark and let them play for a little while by themselves. There are songs that come to mean different things to us emotionally, and for instance, I can never play The Pass without being moved emotionally for what that song says, not only explicitly lyrically, but what it conveys musically to me. It's one of our better crafted ones in terms of the expression of emotion and the expression of restraint, and there's a certain worldly compassion about that. The soundcheck for us over the years has always been kind of a sacred time of day, and even if we were playing 2 nights in the same building, we'd do a soundcheck on the second day and at least run through things that was a kind of a warm-up. And a lot of times we'd be going into a jam session at the beginning that we would record and save at the end and mine for good ideas, and a lot of time get great song ideas from. Other times it can be an opportunity for Alex to do a monologue that we'll be playing something, and he'll step up to the vocal mic, and in his inimitable style, he'll deliver a little story about somebody on the crew or some flight of insanity, that only Lurks could do.
The nature of Rush has always been musicianship first. Just has. We always tried to be the best musicians we could, and we tried to challenge each other. And I don't think that's really changed. I mean, a lot has changed. Obviously, we've become much better songwriters and song arrangers and producers, and all those things have taken a more and more important role through the years. So that shows your growth and your expanding, but at the core of it, we're players. We love to play, and we love to play well. I expect myself to play well, and I expect myself to play better and to do something better than I did last time. And that is a natural part of Rush. It's a natural thing that Alex, Neil, and I share. We want to do things better. That's what drives us. That's always what's driven us.
Today there was a big rainstorm. And stuff got broken and wet. And then our great, excellent, most excellent crew fixed everything, including the rain. They got it to stop raining. So those guys are the best.
How's your hand?
It's a bit sluggish, but it's a lot better than it was. But it's definitely not healed yet.
Did you find out what was the problem?
Yeah, I have 2 stretched ligaments on either side of this finger's knuckle, and they're way stretched and way swollen, and they're making mobility. They're taking the strength and mobility away from this finger, which is my main noisy bastard.
I
feel so happy for these fans. We waited so long. Just want to give them the best show we can give them. I just want to send them home happy after all this time. I mean, look, they come out so early. They wait 3 hours, and they're screaming already.
This perfect city has lost most of its magical South American atmosphere. And that's Florianopolis. That's one they told us that was a good place to go.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful. I was looking at that.
On the island. Salvador's got all that stuff. Wow. Yeah, this is all Salvador.
Soccer.
For me, I like to warm up for a half hour or so before the show. You know, I find even 10 minutes is beneficial, just to get the fingers moving. I've had some problems with my hands with psoriasis, and they get a little swollen, so I need to do that warm up just to clear it out a little bit. And I think you just continue watching the
Watching baseball, that loosens me up. The baseball is good. It gets my hands ready and it gets my mind right, and so that's my warm-up. And then, of course, I have to put on my clothes, which is strenuous.
Very difficult. Picking
Change my
out.
shoes. Well, yeah, changing my shoes is really important. Neil warms up for about 20 minutes, really, you know, a real serious.
Yeah, all out.
He does an all-out, you know, 20-minute drum solo kind of thing, just to make sure that he's loose. Oh, and soup.
Oh,
we have soup every day.
Usually before sound check,
Yeah,
we'll have
before
soup.
sound check, we have to come in and have soup, and that is really important. And we, you know, we talk, and sometimes we don't talk,
but we still have soup.
Yeah, we still have soup, and we have that. Sometimes we could talk or not talk for hours.
Yeah. And sometimes we have soup after we have soup, so we'll have two soups.
Yeah.
Every day I have the soup. I don't think we could have got through that tour without the soup.
Thinking about this foreign country, never been to before, on the other side of the world. The fact that we have this opportunity to play for a lot of fans that we never knew we had there. The wrapping up of the tour. The work that went into the album that preceded the tour. The time off that we had for 5 years, both good and bad. Where we were at on the previous tour. Well, like all those things were going through my head.
Right. Yeah. Here. All right.
Okay, you put your foot down. You put your foot down.
I'm ready for surgery.
Chegando no palco já aí por...
The new stuff from Vapor Trails, I think, was really the most exciting stuff to play. And it's always like that, you know, the newer material is always more enjoyable to play. Earthshine was a great song to play. It's nice and heavy. And you know, the old standards like Tom Sawyer and Limelight, you know, they're always a lot of fun for me to play. By tour, we probably stopped playing around 78, I would guess. 77, 78, something like that. I wanted to play that for a long time. You know, it was always a favorite. I think it's a really good representative song of Rush in the early days. So I was really pleased that we were, you know, resurrecting it for this tour. The video stuff that was done for it, the animated battle between Bytor and the Snow Dog, was quite humorous. You know, and you could playing the song and you can see people laughing in the audience, and that's so great to see. You wouldn't think that you'd want people laughing in your audience, but definitely it's you know, I want it to be fun going to a Rush show.
Baka. All right.
Thank you.
Can I take a picture? Okay, very quickly.
Too bad.
What's your name? Sure. Always. With a woman, always. Okay. Okay, thanks everybody. See you later. Well, you have to with the police, huh?
When the hoax of Russian Brazil came onto us, the Brazilian fans fastly tried to gather on the purpose of meeting them. Yeah.
All music is perfect from Rush.
The lyrics inspire me in so many ways that I...
Oppression and such stuff, huh?
Yes, it's everything. Rush is everything. Which shows are you going to?
Rio and Sao Paulo. Yes. If I had my money, I would go to Porto Alegre too.
A modern day warrior, mean stride. Today's sun's fire, mean pride. Hey!
out their hair in this climate. Not good for Jewish hair. You get the frizzies immediately. How many fucking nails I've broken opening these cases over the years. I'm alright, how are you?
Doing good, actually. Hardly much rain.
Well.
I mean, it came like in buckets for about 5-10 minutes.
Oh, did?
And it's been like misting, like someone taking a
Well,
sprayer.
I don't think we've seen the last of it,
It's
but
been like this all day.
I do see blue sky there.
Better than it was earlier.
Yeah, let's hope.
Definitely.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine.
Did you have a good day?
No, but I'm still fine.
No problems?
Plenty of problems.
Did the board crank up okay?
Oh, well, yeah, until we basically lost power. We had
So everything lost power?
No, just the audio. What we've got is we have a bad, the cabling that they brought in had bad insulation on the joints. Rubbed together, arced, blew out the fire extinguisher. Now we're waiting. I may even redo everything.
Okay.
So that we're safe for tonight. And then we're going to
So what are we looking at?
We're still wiring the stage.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's going to be a while. We're going to be
Okay,
right.
that's fine. I just want to know.
No.
Where's your hat? Where's your hat? My hat. You should have a hat asking for money.
Yeah.
You look like you should be on the beach at Rio trying to make a few bucks. Go on, throw this poor beggar a few coins, would you? He can't even afford full pants like everybody else.
Lurks is my oldest and dearest friend. He's the funniest man I've ever met in my life. I don't expect I'll ever meet a funnier person than him, ever. He's an incredibly emotional guy, so he can be rational 1 second, and the next minute he can be completely irrational. He's very sharp in a very scientific way, and as a player, he's not kind of a methodical player. He's a very instinctive player. He can write things without thinking about them.
So I felt like I got a real taste of Brazilian culture here.
Right.
Really had a great day. It was nice to get out of the hotel. I was
God, yeah.
feeling so claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Well, Gary, like all of us, is a lovable mass of contradictions, as we all are, and we can all be goofy as can be, and we can be serious and get down to it. And Getty, particularly when he's constructing arrangements or working on vocal parts, he enters that narrow zone of concentration. But at the same time, he's crazy for sports and baseball, but we share so many interests in art and literature and even bird watching the two of us can talk about from time to time. So all of us have these broad-ranging interests and facets to personalities that in the case of the three of us at least just happen to mesh so well that we entertain each other and we stimulate each other, and more than that, the work actually gets done by the combination of methods that we all have.
Oh, shit. I might have left my shoes in the van. I left a bag in the van. Alfredo?
Yes.
I left a bag in the van that I came in. Is it still here? It's my stage shoes for tonight. So. Pete, did you get that black bag out of the van?
Black bag.
I left a black bag in the van.
Neil grabbed a whole bunch. I carried some. What does it look like?
Looking for the shoes is not really a documentary issue here.
Well, Neil is a very different guy. People build up this impression of him that he's this real serious brainiac guy, and you know, he freaks people out when they come to try to talk to him. But he's just a normal guy. You know, he's just got a big brain, and he can be as goofy as anybody. He's just a great guy to hang out with and a great guy to talk to about anything.
And here we have my new team, the Porto Alegre team. Of course, if I were to wear it, the Sao Paulo team fans would kill me. So forget it. Just forget it. That's groovy, yeah?
What is that for?
That's security. Vigilancia Antares. Security guy gave it to me before we got in the car. That was really cool. Nice man.
Thank you, man. Okay, I have to go to the washroom now. We don't need that part. Well, the venues in Brazil are so huge, in Sao Paulo and Rio, they're just huge and they're historic because that's where the great matches, you know, it's all about football there, soccer. Being Canadians, you know, not that well versed in their soccer history. Everyone's waiting for an opportunity to talk about soccer there. So to play those venues, that's, in their mind, that's a great honor to play at the site of the great soccer victories for the Brazilian team. So that was kind of cool.
I suddenly realized how huge the stadium was. It was just one section. Because you took in the whole stadium, it didn't seem that big, you know, it just seemed like a stadium. But when you looked at a section and it had, you know, like 600 seats in that section, and the seats were tiny, you realized how big this place was. So it was great.
Normally before the show we do a short, what we call a meet and greet, which is just, you know, you take 10 minutes out and meet some hardcore fans that have won contests, and it means a lot to them to spend a few minutes chatting with them. So we try to do that on a nightly basis and spread some good karma around, kind of. And so we did the same thing in Brazil. We got to meet some of the fans.
It's so difficult to see them. It's my dream. You know, I am a fan since 1995, and I can't explain what I'm feeling now because it's not only music. They teach us so many lessons with their songs. And there is another thing. I'm a drummer and I'm a Pearl fan. We love them all, and we'd like them to come back.
The great show in Brazil, and they will come back, and I will be here too. I will be here again. Rush is out. The best band of the world.
A lot of thanks because you came to Brazil. It's a hope. It's a very a long time we were expecting you here. It's a great expectation for all these fans, and I hope you have a great time here and come back a lot of times.
Just three guys that sounds like 20 guys on stage. Can do better than orchestras.
And really enjoying themselves, not looking like robots, you know, trying to go to effects and stuff. You really see they are really enjoying the music.
The band, it's my musical inspiration, and music in my life is very important. It's my heart, my soul. And these guys, they means happiness for me, you know.
And the songs, they're wonderful, and you guys are the best. the best. Thank you. Thank you for changing my life so much.
We love you with all of our heart, and the fans will enjoy the show forever.
It's great that at least they have a chance to come here, at least once, you know. I don't know about the future, but at least they came here once, you know, and people are so happy.
What'd you say? What time? It's 9:15. Oh.
Go out in the world and take our chances.
The Sao Paulo show was one of the most dramatic shows in our entire career ever. For one thing, by far the largest audience we've ever played to anywhere. And I think in my memory, the only time we've actually played in pouring rain, not only was it pouring, but it was blowing in straight on us. My electronic MIDI marimba ceased functioning, and I would hit it and either nothing would happen or some totally unrelated sound. So I'm restructuring my parts as we go, and the crew's scrambling around beside me trying to get it going, and meanwhile I'm just departing from it. Okay, it's not going to work, accepting that reality. It was just awful.
To mold a new reality, closer to the heart, closer to the heart.
When we went to Mexico, we had no idea that song was so popular in Latin America. And so we hadn't prepared it. In Mexico City, we rehearsed it that afternoon, played it like, 4 or 5 times, and then just played it that night, and it worked out. We were a little more prepared in Brazil, because at least we knew we were going to have to play it a few days before, so we rehearsed it in sound checks.
I was listening to my solo from last tour and thought, well, I'm not really finished with that framework yet. And there was still development that I could have done there, but then I thought, no, it's been 5 years, I really want to start fresh. So I kept some elements of it, but put them in a whole different configuration, just in the framework that I dreamed up. And there's some things about it that are autobiographical. There are parts of that solo that have always been in my drum solo, and parts that are fresh every tour, and parts that are fresh every night, that designed to be kind of my little experimental area, stuff that I'm interested in. There's the history of drumming is in there, from rudimental drumming to African drumming to jazz drumming, rock drumming, and there are parallel stories being told, I guess, is something that I try to get at. So it's not just an exhibition to me. I want it to have a framework for from a listener's point of view, that they'll understand there are threads of narrative going on here.
Well, the Rio show was an amazing feat of endurance from our road crew's point of view. I mean, if ever I believed they were the greatest crew in the world, it was proven on that last show in Rio. Our crew didn't get in. I don't think they got into the hotel till about 12 in the afternoon. And usually when we start to set up a show, they're in about 7 in the morning at the venue, starting the first trucks. But I don't think the first piece of gear hit the stage till about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So for them to get the show up in time to do a show at 10 o'clock at night was just unbelievable. Very, very tense day, and it was clear that we were not going to get a sound check that day. And so here we are, you know, big show in Rio. We're filming it, we're recording it, and there's no sound check for out front, which I don't think was a big deal because we've already done 70 shows and we knew we could pull that off. But no check for the sound truck, no check for the film people. So, I mean, when we hit the stage, that was it. Cameras better work or all goes for naught.
It's actually going to be kind of fun today because the show's going to just get set up in time to start. So it's going to have a whole different dynamic to it.
It's been a fascinating time working with these guys, seeing the growth of the band over all of these years since 1976 into a situation where we're in Brazil now playing massive stadiums, particularly last night in Sao Paulo where they played to 60,000 people, which in fact was the biggest show in the history of Rush. There is such a great rock following here in Brazil. Rock music and what Rush does is a great match. And as a result of that, consistently in the polls, year on year for the last 10 years, it's been Rush, Rush, and more Rush.
The trucks were so late arriving from Sao Paulo to Rio that it was a question even if the show could go off anywhere near close to time. And yeah, they were setting up right till a minute before we walked on stage, I think. So it was about as against the odds as you can imagine, but it again, the measure of professionalism and good spirit. So I remember my drum tech Lauren coming in just before, everything's all right and the mini room is working, you know, and there was this sense of conquering adversity and carrying on regardless. That was the spirit the three of us had, and sure enough that spread down through the crew as well.
I am a big fan, a real big fan, maybe one of the oldest fans of Rush in Brazil, because when we could get no records of that band, my father had one, and I could listen to Spirit of the radio, and I got the whole spirit.
the last show too is a sense of grand finale. You want it to be triumphant. You want it to be great. It's something you're going to remember and carry away with you as a souvenir of it. So yeah, in addition to the cameras, in addition to the recording truck, there's always the sense that we wanted a souvenir that was going to be satisfying and memorable. We know, and the audience knows, that we're playing songs that we want to play, and songs that we're proud of and that we enjoy playing, and that has to convey itself, I think, to the audience, that we're never, ever just going through the motions. It means so much to us to do it well, but I think also that has to reach the audience, that they know we care.
So why do you think this tour was so easy and so smooth for you?
Soup. Easily
Probably
soup.
the soup, yeah. The soup made it a lot easier for us, and yeah, that's about it.
I
That's
don't
about
think
it.
we could have played as well as we did without that soup.
Yeah.
No, but
No, we're not joking. That
You know,
soup
that
was so
fucking
important.
soup was so good. You have no idea.
Now I know why you're deaf. Now I know why you're deaf.
What?
I think I have a shrimp caught in between my tooth.
What's a shrimp cod? Is that something they sleep on? When they're like having a little nap? Because they are shrimp.